Hello,
Bryce Connolly from Generation A.
We tried.
Bryce, nice to meet you.
I'm also Max from Generation Records.
Morning.
Generation A Records. So, essentially, we are what Bono's record label would look like if he had a record label. So, Bono, for those of you who don't know who Bono is, he is an artist philanthropist who engages a generation of millennials in order to try to end world poverty. So, Generation A, we connect artists and social initiatives. And then we take your consumer dollar, you as music customers, we take your music purchase and give 30 cents to the artist and 30 cents to a social initiative. So, social initiatives could be something like Habitat for Humanity or United Way. So, from that perspective, music already inspires emotion within us as listeners. We take it at Generation A to the next level. When you buy a Generation A song, you feel good knowing that your purchase made a difference. Essentially, we're a value add to your dollar. Not only are you getting a great song, you're also helping a great cause. So, I'd like to take some time to introduce the Generation A team. This is Bryce Conley. He's our music man at Generation A.
Hi guys, my name's Bryce. I have a lot of experience producing music. I'd say I've produced about 20 tracks, some of which featured on Beatport and iTunes, etc. So hopefully we'll get to listen to something at the end, but here at Generation A, I really provide the artist's perspective.
And this is Max Grossman. He's our service guy here at Generation A.
Hello, everyone. I am Max Grossman. For me, service isn't necessarily something I do. It's kind of something I live. So here in the Generation A team, I give a unique perspective, and that's the perspective of the social initiative.
And then we have Jordan Groby, who is our events guy at Generation A.
I'm Jordan Groby. I produce the events here at Generation A Records, and my experience is with producing festivals and music concerts, as well as in marketing and radio management. And I'm also here to activate our millennial generation.
And again, I am Max Tingle. I'm the idea man here at Generation A. I have experience in strategy consulting, marketing, and communications. I bring the perspective of the music listener to our Generation A strategy.
So there's two main problems that exist today, which are really the reasons that Generation A was founded. So problem number one is that 90.7% of artists are seeking to be discovered. They're unknowns. So for example, Tim is going to play as our sort of artist avatar. He's going to represent the artist throughout the presentation. Tim is unknown because he's underfunded and he lacks the skills and knowledge necessary to promote himself, market himself, expose himself. Now, growing up in New York City and producing music, I've met a lot of Tims, friends included. They kind of are surviving on ramen noodles every night and just struggling to really make ends meet.
And there's another problem, and that's with social initiatives. Social initiatives lack the funding and also the exposure they need to promote their cause and really do what they do. For directors of social initiatives like Sally here, there's a real struggle to get that funding and that exposure that you need. And my experience serving not only in DC but home in New Jersey really gives concrete examples of what that struggle looks like.
So we at Generation A Records recognize that there are these two problems that they face, but we can't change the world on our own. Thankfully, we have a generation of millennials who are willing to help. But who are millennials? Well, millennials are a lot like our friend Megan here. And Megan falls into the age range of 14 to 34 years old, and they account for 45% of the U.S. music industry. That's $5.4 billion in revenue in 2012 alone. They also account for 22 million students in the United States who love to do service. They donate their time and their money. The millennials are the most socially oriented generation that we have ever come across. And like Megan, we know that they are willing to put their dollars behind a good cause.
So additionally, we're also working in an industry that is disrupted, and we can take advantage of that. So over the past decade or so, the U.S. music industry has really sort of evolved itself into an almost completely digital realm. So as you know, people don't go to a music store and buy records and CDs, vinyls, etc. They download digital content from online music stores. And with this change has come a big rise in indie artists and labels. So actually for the past 4 years, the Grammy for Best Album has gone to an indie-backed band. So this is good for us because we are an indie label.
Right. And also in this market, what really measures your success is your marketing. Not just in the sense of how much you actually market, or how much you spend on marketing rather, but your strategy and also how you engage on social platforms like social media. So Generation A has a very unique marketing strategy that when we talk about our campaigns, we'll get into a little bit further. Lastly, in this market, we, Generation A, are competing in a very niche, uncharted part of the industry, and that's where social or causes and music connects. So what really does it for us is it gives us a competitive advantage because we are one of the only ones looking to compete in this part of the market.
So we're going to walk you through what it is we actually do and how we execute what we've been talking about. So what we do is campaigns, and we're going to walk you through the campaigns from 3 different perspectives: the perspective of the artist, the perspective of the social initiative, and the perspective of the music consumer. So here we have Tim again. You guys are acquainted with Tim. Say Generation A selects him as one of our artists. He will first build content, so record music. At the beginning of the campaign, we will release one of his singles. And then for the rest of the month, they're month-long campaigns, he will be promoting himself, engaging with a whole new fan base that he never before would have had access to. So this consists of Generation A's network of millennials that Jordan was talking about, socially influenced people, people that are ready to make a difference. Also, Habitat for Humanity, I'm using Habitat for Humanity as an example. So say Tim linked up with Habitat for Humanity, he would gain Habitat for Humanity's whole network. Now, if we're using that as an example, Habitat for Humanity has 250,000 Facebook followers. So that is some very solid exposure for Tim. So there's a lot he can gain out of this.
And also, in this campaign model, there are things that behoove the social initiative. Like Sally, let's say she's a social director for Habitat for Humanity. She has artists like Tim who are promoting her cause and her Habitat for Humanity. She also has content created by Generation A that raises awareness and also educates really what Habitat for Humanity does. At our Generation A events, she has the opportunity to speak more about her cause. And most importantly, a part of Generation A's digital sales will be donated to Sally's Habitat for Humanity.
So now let's talk a bit about how Megan, our millennial music customer, would interact with our campaigns. So at the beginning of our campaign, Megan will go out and purchase our 4 singles, which come from 4 of our different artists. She'll listen to those songs, and every time she does, she'll know that she's made a difference and is helping the world. She'll then start to engage with Habitat for Humanity through the content that we've created together and our partnership. She'll start sharing the articles and videos that we create on Facebook and Twitter to engage her friends in that same activity. She'll then get really excited about our music and go and buy a concert ticket. And at our concerts, she will engage with us in new ways, not just through our artists, but also through our guest speakers. And at the end of our campaign, she'll finally be rewarded with the video that shows the impact of what her help has done. We'll have Sally and Tim working together to build a house with the funds that we've raised.
Yeah, so this follow-up process is what really sets us apart even further. So we're not going to just write a check to whatever social initiative we're helping. We're going to produce follow-up content, so say a video where you can actually see the artist physically helping out the cause. So in the example that I was just using, Tim would be actually building a home for Habitat for Humanity, and there would be a nice promotional video around that. Now, additionally, when you buy a song from Generation A Records, you can actually see the progress that you're making. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with companies like Sevenly or Kickstarter, but they utilize this sort of thermometer graphic where when you actually buy the song, you can see it adding to this progress of fundraising. So that's really just what adds even more value to the dollar. You're not just buying a song, you're actually buying a song and seeing where it's going.
Right. So let's recap once more. Music is really what inspires emotion in all of us. It makes us feel great, and when you have music produced by Generation A, you not only feel great about the music, but what that music is doing. Essentially, what we do at Generation A is we take your dollar music purchase and make it go further than it ever has before. Not only do you get to listen to awesome music produced by people like Tim, but you also get to support awesome causes like the social initiatives that Sally directs.
So our bottom line here is that we try to raise revenue and awareness for our causes through activating our millennials like Megan. We try to show them how their dollar can make a difference.
So now that we've talked about what we do, let's start talking about money. Everybody's favorite part, of course. So we make money at Generation A through 3 revenue streams: ticket sales, digital song sales, and through also subscription services. Event ticket sales make up majority of our expected revenue at 73%. We also use our digital single sales to raise money for both artists and social initiatives. So as we've mapped out multiple times, each dollar you spend on a song, 30 cents of that goes to the artist and 30 cents of that goes to the social initiatives. So this is our fundraising tool to really raise that money for the artist and the social initiative. We also offer subscription services to devout Generation A fans like Megan, who really get into our products and services and want to take it to the next level. Subscriptions essentially give you opportunities to prepay songs and get in drawings for free tickets and so forth. We also offer an email service where you get connected with what Generation A is doing. So let's turn over to costs, the flip side of the coin. Majority of our costs come from both events and marketing. 60% of our costs go through event production. So events, you have to put some money in to make some money out of it, and we're going to make great events. So that's 60% of our costs, and 30% of our costs are directed towards marketing efforts. You can put on events, but you have to have the marketing behind it to sell it, because we're selling a cool new idea in a disrupted space. So marketing efforts include, let's say, we have our videos, promotional videos, music videos. We have to produce those. We also take the artist single through the final stage of production and mastering and sound engineering. We also engage our social media platforms. So we have strategy. We have to pay people to develop that and actually move forward and do what we say we're going to do. And we also develop graphics. Our campaigns have graphics in them. So an analysis of a break-even analysis of our cash flows shows that we're expecting to break even in 2016. Our first year capital requirement is $70,000. So by the rule of 2, we're looking to raise $140,000. Currently, we've already secured $35,000 in investments. $30,000 of that is from private investments, and $5,000 is from personal investments within the Generation A team. So winning the GW Business Plan competition would give us an additional $35,000, which would actually bring us up to our $70,000 mark, which is our first year capital requirements. So meeting that $70,000 goal covers what we're expecting for first year cash flow requirements. So to recap, Generation A is what Bono's record label would look like, literally, if he had a record label.
Generation A would solve Tim's problem of being underfunded and underexposed.
Generation A would also solve Sally and her social initiatives problem of lacking the funding and the exposure that she needs.
We're taking advantage of a disrupted industry and bringing great contact to our millennial generation, just like Megan.
And we're in the process of raising $140,000, and we respectfully ask for your buy-in to our idea. We are Generation A, and we thank you for your time and attention. And we would like to take any questions you may have at this point in time.
Very
Yes,
nice
ma'am.
presentation.
Thank you.
I liked your energy and enthusiasm. Can your competitors copy your business model?
I'll hand that off to Bryce. He can talk about our 3 major competitors in the space.
Yeah, so like we said, the good thing is that there's very minimal direct competition because there's not really any other companies that are combining music with a cause yet, and that's going to be us. So Musicians for a Cause is one of them, but it's very, very small scale. They very rarely release music, and they only have like 600 Facebook followers. And their model is a little different than ours. It's actually very different than ours. They produce songs. They actually have their artists like write songs that are cause influenced. So they'll have an artist write a song about, say, AIDS or
Any cause you can think of.
any cause you can think of.
Yeah.
Moving on is Red. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Red. It's a nonprofit that helps raise awareness for AIDS. Now, they're not a record label, so they're very different than us, but they do once a year release an album that gives proceeds towards AIDS. So basically, we're not really competing with them, but they have been very successful, and so their success is kind of a positive light for us.
Yes.
I hope that answers your question. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. And there's one more competitor we have. It's called Reverbnation. Reverbnation is not a record label per se, but they do offer social initiative kind of cause-geared services for artists. So artists can donate their proceeds to a cause, and they put a little red dot by their artist name on their profile on their website saying, hey, this artist gives to a cause. our competitive advantage to them is that we take it a step further. We're not just going to give you a red dot on your profile. We're going to promote you for a whole month, and sit there and connect you, engage you with our network, and engage you with the network of, say, Habitat for Humanity.
And there are thousands of profiles that they have that often go unnoticed because they don't market their specific artists.
Yes. So that's our competitive landscape. Another question? Yes, sir.
So your projections, from what I could gather from where you put them up, it seems like it's relatively small amounts that you're charging either for the song downloads or for participation in the event. So the two parts of the question is, one, it seems like it relies on huge volume of sales and a pretty rapid increase in that sales growth over the next 3 years. And then the second part, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more specifically about the events themselves, where they take place, what they're like, and what makes this different from any other sort of event that's happening that differentiates what you all are doing.
For sure. Fantastic question. I'm going to go back to the slide about our revenue stream. So the jump in our revenue stream from 2014 to 2015, because we're students and we're kind of wrapping this up starting in May, our physical year in 2014 does not start in January. So in 2014, we're expecting to produce 4 campaigns. In 2015, we're expecting to produce 12 campaigns, 1 each month. So we're actually operating on our full model by that point. We've grown our numbers. We've projected them out over growth based on, so for each event, our goal is to get up to 5,000 people at each concert. We're not starting out saying we're going to get 5,000 people at a concert. We're starting out with an estimate of, hey, we can get 1,000, let's build it up to 2,000, let's build it up to 3,000, all the way to 5,000 until we're operating at our full-scale model. And then we have also like digital downloads. We expect as our network grows and we engage with more and more social initiatives, we also grow the number of people who could potentially be buying our songs as we go forward in the campaign. So the growth model, it jumps there because we're actually only producing 4 campaigns in 2014, and we're expected to be in operation by 2015 full capacity, but building into our capacity for each campaign. So I want to hand it off to Jordan, who's going to tell you more about our events, like what our events look like, where we're going to be at, and how, when we're growing, that changes.
As for our events themselves, we offer 2 types of events. There are 2 exclusive events, which are more of kind of charity-oriented, where people will be spending a lot more money on their ticket, and it'll be kind of a dinner-oriented event with more high-profile guests and our, of course, artists. And then there's our concert events, which are generally very open to the public and very affordable. We're looking to get as many people as possible involved and engaged in Generation A by bringing them not just to this concert event, by bringing them to a stage that, of course, will have our artists, but will also have high-profile guests from their community and people who support the cause to talk to them about it and engage them in the conversation. Because it's not just us teaching them, it's starting a conversation about these subjects.
Maybe talk about venues, how that changes
Yes.
as we grow.
So as our venues change, they will change based on kind of where we see most of our fan bases being. And then as there is a campaign each month, we have the opportunity to discover new venues with each month. So at first, we intend to market to the largest market base that we have, which will likely be the DC area, and then probably expand to New York.
Where would your venues be? What venues do you anticipate going to?
So there are a lot of outside venues in
Right.
Virginia. And this is a seasonality thing, too, because no one's going to go to an outside venue when it's freezing outside, especially when you're in D.C. and it's snowing.
Right.
But the idea is, during the summer, we use outside venues, which there are at least 3 going this way out in Virginia and 2 going up towards Baltimore.
Right.
And then once you start seeing, once we're like beginning, it's like the 930 Club and venues like that where it's a smaller
Right.
setting, and then we grow into potentially trying to fill arenas. That's our dream.
Yeah.
But
So, for instance, the Smith Center here on campus holds 5,000 people.
Yes.
And the Spring Fling concert that they'll be having tomorrow will be on the University Yard, and that generally holds about 1,500 to 2,000 people. And the way that they set up their stage is that it's a trailer that then breaks out, and then they set up the equipment from there. So it's not too difficult, and they're starting setup tonight, and I'll be helping them with that. So, and the concert is tomorrow at 4.
you should all come. But anyway.
One more quick question.
Yes, for sure.
Given the social genre theme of your company, how do you select, what criteria do you use, if any, to select your artists?
For sure, that's a very great question. And actually, so we're in radio, we have artist networks already within our team. both Max and Jordan. Jordan's actually the general manager here at GW's radio station, which is a phenomenal radio station that has a lot of reach and touches a lot of artists across genres. So their connections alone. Max hosted a show with one of his favorite artists and a
Just
big
last
name
night,
in
yeah.
the R&B
That's
scene.
WRGW District Radio, and I'm actually having an in-studio in 2 hours.
Yeah, so the idea here is we have a network already of artists that we can choose from, and Bryce has artists that he's worked with through production. So the idea is we're not just going out on YouTube and saying, oh, here's one, let's ask them. Which definitely, growing forward, we can look at that model and see the potential there. But right now, we're using the networks we have within the DC and New York area to grow that way. We're out of time now. Thank you guys for your questions and your attention.
Thank you very much.